Hi everyone, welcome to the new episode of AI Makers Unpacked series, a series which focuses on what I call the personal and the professional journeys of AI leaders who have impacted not only the corporates, enterprises, GCC, but have given a lot to the society, community, and fraternity as well. In this set of series, what we are unraveling is a set of leaders, the leaders who are proven, seasoned, top of the line, marquee, progressive leaders who have actually created what I call a niche of their own. And with that niche, I want to actually introduce the speaker for the day. And the speaker is none other than Nishant Chandra. He's fondly known as Nish in the circle. Nishant is Senior Manager Data Products at Visa. And let me tell you, knowing Nishant Nish over the last couple of years, one of the most, I would say, visible data science leader in the country, one of the most, I would say, thought-provoking data science leader in the country, and also a leader whose many facets have not been unraveled. And this would be my attempt through this session with Nish. Welcome, Nish, to AI Makers Unpacked series.
Hey, thank you, Sameer. Thank you so much. A nice twist of words there. You have always been blessed with a basic amount of articulation, and it's always a pleasure to be on your platform. Looking forward to interacting with this audience.
Awesome. Nish, what I would attempt to do, and this is something we have discussed I would say, multiple times in terms of what I call the sidebar conversation. But today I want to bring some of these facets and given our platform needs that, I would say, perspective for our members and listeners. Let me start with having you share, give us a sense about your professional journey. I mean, and I also want to actually nudge you to talk about in your professional journey, what are the trials, tribulation, and the phases where you felt it's not going right? You face because often we always talk about the bright side of the professional
Correct.
journey, but the path is never linear. So give
It
us a
never
sense,
is.
and we'll be happy to kind of delve into that, please.
Love to, Samir. Thank you so much. And I guess my journey in data science was pretty interesting. I would say there were some distinct phases where destiny also kind of conspired for me to be at the place where I am. One of the things which happened was like a data-driven decision of sort when I landed it into a graduate school trying to do my master's, and I had multiple opportunities to connect with various professors who were doing research in different areas, all the way from embedded systems to signal processing and everything and anything. And I landed into what is called pattern recognition at that point of time. This is year 2000. Just by the data driven decision which I made at that point of time by searching for jobs on monster.com in terms of what which field had more jobs, and that's how I decided to get into pattern recognition field. So that was one thing. But as I also said, destiny sometimes conspires you to be where you are at. Various things happened you know uh, in years which followed. I was presenting at a conference as a graduate student. I was presenting at a conference in Hawaii when at the airport, I met somebody who was like a very, I would say, you know, he was having challenges to organize himself. So I was at a car rental shop, and the person in front of me had piles of books like these. And this is 2000. This is 2002, August of 2002. I'm talking about. And as he was trying to search for his car rental receipt, he dropped a few books, and then I helped this gentleman out. As it turns out, he was going to the same conference I was going to. And as it also turns out, he was a student of the conference chair. And so next day, when I had my presentation, this guy brings the conference chair, and the conference chair sits on the first the row of the presentation of a graduate student, which would never happen, right? and and after my presentation, this person gives me a card. Hey, Nish, have you ever thought of doing PhD? And I was like, Dr. Yunan, I already have a job. In 2002, having a job as a graduate student was a big thing. I already have a job offer. But if I ever decide to, you will be the first person I will talk to. And it just took me 9 months to give a call to to Nick Yunan. Hey, Dr. Yunan, I want to come and do PhD with you. So this is oh, how the universe conspired for me to get into the PhD program all
So
the way.
what you said, Nish, and I'll take it what you appropriately worded. I mean, the universe conspired in terms of stars getting aligned,
Sure.
and uh, I have a take, and you could see a wry smile on my face when you were saying this thing on this, and I'm
Hmm.
just trying to take it to today's situation where the jobs are in plenty, because
Correct.
seemingly what you had at that point of time was almost like a hustler approach. Hey, let me
Exactly.
reach out to this person, let me see what he has. And uh, but today you see, and I'm just trying to kind of digress, but very important, topical times, plenty of job, a lot of opportunities. How does one in a data science mode should look at building up the career? And I'm trying to take stage by stage in terms of saying building up the career, because jobs are at plenty,
Absolutely.
opportunities are significant. But what's important is a career is never a kind of a, let's say, 100-meter sprint, it's a marathon. What
Absolutely.
do you see and what do you suggest for this aspiring data science population?
So, I was actually talking to somebody a few days ago, and I told this person that in today's market, uh, you know, it is almost, quote unquote, a disgrace if somebody does not have, more than a few job offers, with them. Having said that, that does not mean that one should keep, jumping jobs around. That would be almost devastating, to say the least, to a person's career. um, and having, what I'm trying to say there is that one should try and uh, practically look at what does this job mean for their future, what kind of opportunities they can present to the organization, and what the organization can present to them. In this market, we have multiple flavors of opportunities, all the way from startups, which are T20 in a sportsman conversation, right? Come in, hit fast, be relentless, and achieve something in a short amount of time. Then we have careers that span out, almost like how one day cricket matches are played. You come in, you be cautious in early stages, first 10 overs, first 15 overs, be cautious, try not to lose wickets, meaning, in our terms, try to learn the pitch, try to play according to the condition. And then at some point of time, when the time is right, you start hitting, right? You start accumulating runs, which the analogy will be accumulating wealth, accumulating knowledge, accumulating friends, accumulating connections. And then there are other careers which almost spans like test matches, right? We have legends in our industry who have seen the ups, who have seen the downs, who have been hit on the face, but stand up again and create. These are the legends. And Sameer, I know you are you are an avid cricketer. You have been a champion cricketer in your youth days. So I'm presenting this cricket analogy to you,
Well,
but
that's
this
that's absolutely a
perfectly
wonderful
fits our
analogy.
career.
Absolutely a wonderful analogy, Nish, because the way you segmented this by T20, one days, and test matches. Only thing which went wrong is the correlation of you associating me with cricket. I've been a failure in cricket. That's why I've landed out here. So, but you're right. In fact, if we take that perspective today, I think for aspiring as well as existing population, which is into data science, analytics, AI, and of course, nomenclatures have changed also over the years. How have you seen this world of data science evolving? Adoption,
Sure.
usage, consumption. I mean, I remember the days where I think a lot of time used to was being spent on defining the problem, ascertaining the problem, understanding. Give
Correct.
us some sense. How is this evolution of data science going today?
Sure. So I'll say something, Sameer. The world of data science, i- is a land of natives and immigrants, right? Natives are people who have really started from the basics. What I was talking about was, the world of data science literally started from, a section called, pattern matching. And in 2004, 2003, 2004, when I was doing PhD, the university where I was working for, as a graduate student, we had one of the only three well-known open source pattern matching algorithms available at that point of time, right? And what we used to do was we used to do this industry immersion program where industries who were using our open source pattern matching program could come in and get free training for 2 weeks at our university during summer. So summer used to be lean time for university. We would do this out. And as it was almost like eye popping for me to realize that we used to have people from almost industry segments which were very, very, you know I just could not realize that they would be using pattern matching algorithms. Like, at that point of time, companies in oil exploration, we had geologist who came in and took training with us. And I was like, why would such people come in and learn about a pattern matching software? And our application for that software was speech recognition, but then the core algorithm was built in such a way that anybody and everybody who has relevant data can use this algorithm in whatever way possible, whatever way they want to. And this is how the field really started. And then a lot of open source softwares came in. There were the immigrants who came in, brought in the flavor of from statistics. They brought in the flavor of computer science. They brought in the flavor of physics, core computational physics. And a lot of things happened, which and then later on, the hardware became cheaper, neural networks became more relevant. Neural networks have been around for 50 years, but with the good compute time and hardware becoming cheap, neural networks became very good and very accurate. This led to deep learning getting into the forte in 2011, 2012, with Google releasing open source softwares in deep learning. And a lot of things happened, but literally the world evolved around two things. The world of data science evolved around two things. One was an unconditional love for open source software, right? And the second was this amalgamation of and friendship of natives and immigrants. This is really what led to this explosion.
You mentioned a very interesting thing over there. Now, if we are talking about this whole aspect of open source kind of, let's say, onslaught, if I call it. Now, there is also a holy grail which has been not demystified in a larger manner in terms of a playbook or a toolkit, which is about the impact driven data science. A client, an enterprise, a GCC, a startup always will relate usage of data science analytics AI to the business impact. What's been your take and perspective of this nation? Because there are various contentious views which happens in the market out here. But what's your take on this?
So, somebody once told me a research that doesn't make money is a hobby. And, a data science algorithm which does not get into production is a hobby also. And literally, that is what happens. Meaning, uh, mm, in a corporate world, it is very easy because data science has become a commodity at this point of time. We have to agree to that, right? um, Making a model on a small proof of concept data is literally a high schooler's job at this point of time. There, you go to GitHub, you get the relevant code, you go to Google's free AI platform, you upload the code, and you run it on a small proof of concept data. Absolutely a high schooler's job at this point of time. What makes a model work in production unconditionally under huge amount of variety, veracity, velocity related data is the fact that one should understand the real intricacies of how the algorithm actually works. What are you optimizing, and how would this optimization work under unknown conditions. And this is where companies who literally have where data science models literally have millions of dollars riding have to take the right decision. Meaning, you would not take a code from GitHub and start doing high frequency trading on Wall Street with that code. The reason why Wall Street data scientists are paid the way they are is because a lot of money rides on that. The reason why medical devices companies, because now medical devices are becoming intelligent, medical devices company invest so much time in research is because they have to be right all the time. Being wrong is not an option. And I think that is the core difference between a corporate data science model versus what we see in available as a commodity, and everything out there. So you have to customize from commodity to you have to customize before you productionize.
No, absolutely. I think you very well articulated this particular thing in terms of data science at scale. Uh, just shifting gears, but on the same continent, Nish. Uh, Today, when we talk about data science at scale, while I think this whole skeptic view has changed, it's now established mainstream to the even extent becoming cliche in terms of the usage of the words. But more importantly, you pointed out as part of your conversation and discussion that look, all these algorithms needs to be tried, needs to be tested, it needs to be kind of really seen in terms of the production. But on the other side, now we are talking about data science not being just applicable to enterprises, industries, but even nations, society, government, are also talking about establishing supremacy around data science. Now, with that facet comes in the biggest, what we say, the topical talk of the town, ethicalness, explainability, the whole aspect of, okay, explain me what is under the hood. What's your take on that? Because there will never be a perfect picture scenario out here. What's your take on this whole thing?
Absolutely. Um, Sameer, we had a friend, Arnold, right? I remember talking to Arnold once, and he said something around that, in a world uh, where war was imminent, um collaborative destruction was also imminent, right? Uh, you knew that if you are going to get into a war with a country in this era, not in World War II or something, in this era, if you are getting if two big powers are getting into a war, the mutual destruction was imminent, and that's why wars never really happened. World wars have not happened for almost 70, 80 years, right?
Right.
um, However, you know, with AI, we get uh, in we get unfair advantage,
Hmm.
right? Uh, Unfair advantage in the sense that you are seeing certain certain countries playing out cybersecurity threats in ways which gives them unfair advantage. Certain countries play out espionage, which gives them unfair advantage. And in general, if you extrapolate AI into technology, you take a step up and you just say, okay, does technology give you? So in I may be slightly controversial, but I will go ahead and say that the world in last 2 years was no less than World War III, in my opinion. We were in World War III in last 2 years, amidst the pandemic. Um, Everything happened exactly the same way. It was indiscriminate. Some countries got affected more than others, and perhaps, uh, and unfortunately, more people lost lives than what a war would have, culminated into. So yes, it is Arnold. When I look back and I contemplate into what he said. You knew Arnold more than I knew.
Right.
But
Right. Right.
I met him a few times at breakfast and stuff like that. But this was one conversation which kind of made a very strong dent in my mind. Was the fact that wars lead to mutual destruction, but technology, war, or anything around selective ways of doing it, perhaps guarantees in some way, unfortunately guarantees success to one versus another.
No, absolutely, absolutely. In fact, uh, taking a switch now, we've taken some of these themes around what's happening on the data science world, adoption, and all. Shifting gears, there is also a whole lot of, I would say, conundrum today, Nish, around, I would say, progressive, established data science leaders. Some of them say, oh, they've hit the glass ceiling. And this is now what I'll say, that usually these things are not talked about uh, anywhere else. But I mean, we come from that world where we have a very large, I would say, confluence of a lot of leaders we talk about in the analytics field. Now, when a professional starts assuming that they have started kind of not, I would say, getting to this whole curve of what's next. Data science has never been an established career path. The changes have come in and alongside next level automatically. But somehow careers can also be not planned in the similar manner. Now, specifically, my question while building this whole context was, We never talk about leaders who have spent 12, 15, 18, 20 years in the industry. And I'm talking just about data science analytics AI leaders. From your sense, you've been into this industry for 20 plus years. From your sense, what is that they should be thinking about today if they are listening this particular session? That look, this is what I need to do for the next few years to stay relevant. And I'm talking specifically about the senior leaders.
I will say that as far as a successful segment, or a successful niche. So if you think about it, data science used to be a niche. You started with this word in the interview.
Right.
So data science was a niche a few years ago, probably 5 years, maybe 7 years ago. Now, niche always evolves into a segment. Okay, so now that has happened is this niche of data science have evolved into a segment of data science, which gets applied into every facet. Let me give you another example here. Right, when we were growing up, Sameer, in probably small towns of the country, there used to be two posters or two kind of shops, at every major crossroad of the city. It used to be like कि यहाँ टाइपिंग सिखाई जाती है.
Hmm.
टाइपिंग इज शॉर्ट हैंड टाइपिंग इज taught here, and the other used to be यहाँ कंप्यूटर सिखाया जाता है. Computer is taught here, right?
Right. There
And
was
what
a
kind
third
of
one also, which was about learn English in 10 days, 7
learn
days.
English in 10 days also. So
Right.
this I'm talking about from early 90s to end of 90s. So, shorthand typing was a big thing. Then computers became big thing, and English has always been something of aspiration for various people. So what happened? Computers, which were a niche at that point of time, became a segment and then eventually a commodity. Now, every desk in every office has a computer, whereas in early 2000 computers there used to be a computer department in companies, right? You would go to any company, there will be a computer department. uh, mm, you know AI analytics actually started the same way. There used to be an analytics department in every company. Now, every department in every company does analytics, right? So niche became a segment, and then what will happen is this segment will become a commodity. And what happens is, now every department in every company will make product which are intelligent. And what kind of product will that be? I'll give you one another example. Right, we used to use touch tone phones, and now we use iPhones. Touch tone phones had a specific buttons. If you press that button, only then and then the device will work. If you press wrong button, the device is not going to work. So the user had to learn how to use the device. uh, the world where we live in, the moment I open up my iPhone in the morning, it knows, what kind of apps would I be using at this point of time, perhaps some news apps, perhaps something else, and it gives me a suggestion that, this is the app, perhaps what you're searching for. It also gives me various other suggestions. So now what has happened is the phone is adapting to the user. And the way I would use my iPhone is different than how you would use your phone, and hence your recommendations to you would be very different than recommendations to me. And this is exactly what I mean from segment to commodity. The product which we will be building, or the product which the senior leaders will be building, from the niche to the segment to the commodity, has to be those intelligent softwares.
Got it. Now, I think that's another interesting take. So let me just to break this whole monotony of, I would say, long narration, Nish, because that's where I think the format enjoys that, I would say, liberty of having you for this particular period. And let me ask you some rapid fire questions. And for the audience and the viewers, let me tell you, this is absolutely not tutored, rehearsed, or not prepared. So Nish maybe caught, I would say, a bit surprised on this. What keeps you awake at night?
What keeps me awake? What keeps me awake is, to ensure, lifelong learning. I have, you know, what what we learned in or let me say this, when I finished my PhD, my boss at that point of time, I entered the room and he was sitting there and he asked me, Nish, what is the half life of the work which you did in your PhD dissertation? And I was like, what does that mean? Gary said that anything and everything you do has a half life and it will dissipate in few years. And I was like, no, the work which I've done, I have got like 4 patents out of that. I had a few journal publications. We are building a product out of it, taking it into market. Perhaps not. He was like, you will be surprised. And 7, 8 years later, deep learning became the mainstream, and the work which I did, you know, had
Nice.
its half life. So
Nice.
what you should learn from this is that anything and everything which you know today has a half life. It is going to dissipate. Lifelong learning is the only way around it, and that is what keeps me awake.
If behind your back, your team has to pick one word about you, what that would be?
Um, Inspirational.
And 5 years down the line, if your team has to pick up one word, what that would be?
Coach.
Now, if you just dial back into your career 15, 20 years back, same conversation before you had with doctor in 2002. If that wouldn't have happened, what exactly would have seen your career evolving to be?
Uh,
Alternate career. Let me put it alternate career.
sure. If in 2012, if I am not here, then where would I have been?
Absolutely.
Okay, academia probably.
What is the best thing you would like your kids to know about you when they grow up?
That is a good one. It's very difficult to inspire your own kids, you know. uh, mm, I would say,
Pick up one word. Pick up one word.
I would just say learner. I was telling my daughter
Mhm.
this morning that, hey, I am getting into a YouTube interview, and she was like, "You do know that that will be around forever." Uh, so I said, "Okay, I'll try not to be controversial in the interview."
Absolutely. Absolutely. One more thing over there. This whole context of data science, exaggerated, hype, reality, must needed. What is that you will pick up?
What was the last one?
Must needed.
Must need it.
Exaggerated, hype, reality, must needed. Where would you slot data science in your own word?
I would say that it is definitely must needed in our world. Uh, you know, and I'll probably just take 1 minute to explain why. Recently, I heard Elon Musk saying that world's population is very low, very small, and it is such a controversial controversial this thing, but then what he said was fairly profound. What he said was, in today's world where we have the highest population in the history of human mankind, we also have the highest social growth of the mankind. And hence how I kind of articulated that was, with humans, we do not have the highest ceiling of achievement that we can possibly achieve, right? Bees, for example, achieve what they are set to achieve in life, by hard work. Ants achieve what they are set to achieve in life by hard work. Humans are supposed to be intellectual and supposed to do smart work, and hence we would never achieve our most optimal levels at all. And having more, in Elon Musk's this thing conversation, having more humans would actually evolve humankind more. I'm sure there will be a plateau at some point of time, but what he was trying to say, that plateau has not yet arrived. When will that arrive? I don't know. But that made me think that, we obviously have to evolve as humankind more and more, and that is why I think, coming back to your specific question, that the stage where data science is, it it has to evolve, and along with that evolution of data science, we will have the evolution of the society in general.
Nice, nice. One of the thing I think, Nish, I want to talk about different context. You have a good following and a very, I would say, nice following among startups. And startups specifically from India are at an inflection point. I mean, not, I would say, a week goes by when we don't hear a story about one of the startup becoming a unicorn, and there are many unicorns lined up. And we are also talking about uh, deck decacons, whichever way you call it. More importantly, startups, and you have to demystify this. Startups are also looking at data science analytics AI today. In your own perception, what is that they should be doing to enjoy competitive advantage, differentiation, their moat in terms of leveraging data science? Is there a playbook you want to call out when it comes to startups leveraging data science?
I would say in early stages of a company's life, uh, there has to be a core differentiation. How would one company differentiate themselves in, or create a moat around it? Um, is very, very important. We always talk about, whenever we talk to startups, or a part of any discussion around startup, we always talk about what is the defensible technology here, what are the guardrails and things like that. In a technology startup, most often than not, though, that moat is around data science. Now, I do have to clarify that, data science is slightly abused term here, because it is about the specific data which they have, that they use in a commoditized data science environment to build the moat. And this, I believe, stays for some time with the company, because the in an environment where we are, where information flows faster than the speed of light, or at the speed of light, eventually, if there is a successful company, it will have competitors in either the same geography or different geographies. And hence, you using that moat to create your early perception and catapult startup from an early stage startup to a mid stage startup as soon as possible, is the differentiator. And that is why, actually, you need that much amount of capital today, because you very quickly need to create uh, the distance from an early stage startup to a mid stage startup.
Absolutely.
And hence the moat, to basically keep that moat around, you need more money to go faster on that moat before anybody else can catch. And then eventually you are at a place where you have created a huge defensible moat with the technology, with the product, with the money, and now it becomes established corporate.
Yeah, they're riding a tiger actually. Great, great.
Absolutely.
What is one thing you believe? And as I said, that there is no set rule for this discussion. I'll keep switching between the longer, I would say, question format to, I would say, the shorter ones. What is that one thing you would like to achieve in your professional career?
This is a very, very difficult one. Sameer, you never told me you were going to ask me so difficult questions. Uh, you know,
And I'm liking the silence.
I know, because this is so difficult to even contemplate. Obviously, we are in a place where we possibly can have a good life as compared to where our previous generation was. So when you talk about previous generation, right, uh, you know an international travel was a lifelong aspiration. In our lifetime, that is not a lifelong aspiration anymore. I was telling my son that eventually, with with so much of only have finite amount of places in the world to visit. And so there can be a possibility where there are people out there who may have actually visited all countries in the world, or all desired places to visit in the world. So uh, achieving some of those levels which our previous generation used to think as aspirational is probably given in our generation. And hopefully, with the blessings of God and others, hopefully, we should reach there at the right time in our lives. More important is, I think, leaving legacy. And leaving
Right.
legacy is probably the most difficult thing in life, because legends are born, but rarely born, but legends are always made in life, right? And I think, people in the world who we remember. So think about it this way, right? You would you would never marry your sister to an average person. You would never enroll your child in an average school. You will never go to an average restaurant on your birthday. So world does not revolve around average. The world revolves they reward um, legends, right? So, and being legend is difficult, but it's doable. So hopefully, to your specific question, hopefully, one can become something which is inspiring to even a small group of people. It doesn't have to. You don't have to inspire the whole country. Obviously, if you can, then that will be great. But even like five people, if they look back and get inspiration around you, I think that is a fruitful life lived.
Well, with that, I would say that's a very inspiring, I would say, set of narration you put across as a final takeaway, Nish, because the world doesn't want averages today. The world want what I call perfection, excellence, and maybe beyond that, the bar is really high. And what is important amongst professionals is to leave a legacy. And legacy has no benchmarks or barriers. It's to be made, actually. Uh,
Exactly.
I must say about this conversation, Nish, and the whole facet of you being uh, unbiased, absolutely unfiltered, and candid, got this into so much of an engrossing mode where I actually listen as opposed to my knack of kind of poking in between with the leaders and saying, okay, this is what you should be saying. But this is what I always say when the conversations happen from the heart, it stays forever. Yes, this will stay forever on the YouTube for the rightful reason. But thank you so much for your time, because I think the facets what you touched upon were on a melange of subjects, themes, and something which we never prepare for. And that's where I think it comes out best, because for the professionals, aspirants, uh, existing set of data scientists, AI analytics leaders, and professionals, I think the world is not static. It's not linear. There are a lot of gyrations, unpredictability. And I think what I actually heard in terms of you saying that, look, uh, somewhere for the stars to get aligned, there also needs to be that you need to kind of make the best foot forward, be more kind of diligent, and be also in a facet where you are forthcoming in embracing things rather than castigating those things. Thank you so much for the time, Nish. This was absolutely a very refreshing session. Really enjoy. And for the audience, as a disclaimer, look, I have a running nose which has been there for last 2 years. I would say 2 days. By no means I'm COVID positive. I've tested negative twice in the last 24 hours. It's just a kind of a seasonal thing. It will go away. But the focus was more on the niche. I'm sure you gained a lot of perspective. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Sameer. I would say that even an exponential curve looks linear in the short term. We all have exponential opportunities in front of us. It looks linear right now, but experience gives perspective. If you step back a little and take a look at that, or if you will spend a few years later, you would realize that how exponential opportunities we have today. So to the audience, I would just like to say thank you for being a part of this. Hopefully, you got some perspective on how exponential the technologies where we are today can be. And thank you, Sameer, for indulging me. You obviously got some of the old memories out from me, and and more importantly, you put
I'm
me
actually good at extracting the hidden secrets, Nish.
exactly. And you asked some really tough ones where I had to think about for a minute. So thank you so much. It was always a pleasure to be.
Thanks, Nish. Thanks for your time. Appreciate that. Thank you so much, and keep watching the AI Makers and Back series. Thank you. Thanks for your time. Thank you.